Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Yeah.
The views expressed by J. Michael McCoy are the views of the hosts and guests of Max World Live, and not necessarily the views of Webcast One Live, its staff, its management, the cleaning crew, Dave the electric guy, the guy who cleans the skywalk, the woman who brought in the cookies, the management staff of Hubble Real Estate, the parking lot attendant at Keck Parking, the wait staff over at Miss Kitty's, the coffee crew at Frederick's, the man in the street corner willing to work for food, Rob Spearman, Max Crab, or anyone else of sound mind. Should you be offended, provoked, intimidated, shocked, confused, or just made to think independently, log on to MaxWorldLive.com right now. It's your voice we want to hear in Max World. And now, live from the palatial studios of Webcast One Live, your host, J. Michael McCoy.
Thank you, Michael Libby. I appreciate you being here today. This is the 15th day of April in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and it's a Tuesday edition of The View from the Pew. We call today Max World Live. We probably have too many names, don't we? We probably just it probably just ought to be the Tom Coates Show with what's his name. That's how that's how Bradshaw wanted it. Bradshaw wanted it the Bradshaw Show with Mac.
Well, we could talk a whole hour about Bradshaw.
He's coming in. He'll be in here next Tuesday, I think.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to do a web-only show.
All right.
On Talk About Politics next Tuesday.
Isn't it next Tuesday we supposed to have Van on?
No, but not for this show. Well, like from 1 to 2, Hill and I do it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to miss that.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to come in. We'd love you to come in.
Well, I just made a luncheon engagement that would conflict with that. That's too bad, but...
yeah, right.
Sorry to miss that one.
Will Rogers is our guest today. Now, are you the co-chair, or have they bumped you up to the big dog?
Yeah, I got promoted, so that means that, and 25 cents will get me a cup of hot coffee at McDonald's.
Are you the chair?
The chairman of the Polk County Republicans.
All right, good deal. That's what I thought.
Quite a
Or
title.
the Republican Party of Polk County, as we like to.
And who was your
My co-chair is Cheryl Wisnan.
Okay.
And Cheryl was actually, congratulations to her, she was elected to the Republican State Central Committee last night.
All right.
To fill the vacancy that was created by Gopal Krishna.
Yeah.
Who was recently by at the most recent Republican State Central Committee assumed the responsibilities of the co-chair of the Republican Party of Iowa.
Okay.
And that's with, is that with Danny Carroll?
Yes.
So he and Danny are the co-chairs.
Yes.
All right,
well,
we want to talk
chair
about
and co-chair.
that. I think we want to talk about that in the hour to come.
Okay. Well, let's just talk about it now. I mean, here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about. I got two things on my mind. Number one is I read online, and maybe this isn't true, but there's like 32 seats that the Republicans are not trying to run against the Democrats, so the Democrats are running unopposed in the state of Iowa.
We can certainly visit about that, and there are some. There are particularly a couple races here in Polk County that I want to visit about today. House District 30, which is the Altoona area, and House District 40, and that's the Urbandale House District. So we can visit specifically about that.
And then the other thing I want to talk about is this because this has really got me upset. This whole thing the media is doing to Branstad with this severance pay stuff.
You mean the Des Moines Register's witch hunt? And
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, the Des Moines Register and
Channel 13's jumped on the wagon. But it's the Jack Hatch is running this show.
Yeah.
Okay. So start out with what you want to talk about, and then we'll go.
Well, and I want to dovetail with what you mentioned in regards to the changing of the guard. There is quite a changing of the guard going on. There was a lot of dust up about whether Danny Carroll should step down, how he should handle it, changing of the guard away from the Liberty Party, I guess, which pretty much dominated Iowa Republican politics for a short window where they organized, and even though they were never perhaps more than about 20% of the votes, really held the whip hand for a while. I want your take on the changes that are taking place and what that means for the leadership going forward in the Iowa Republican Party.
Well, first of all, I just want to send my congratulations to both Danny Carroll and Gopal Krishna, actually, for being elected chair and co-chair. Mm-hmm. This is hopefully will be a change of direction and something that as we move forward we'll be able to help our Republicans get elected office, our Republican candidates and elected officials get reelected. Mm-hmm. Pardon me. The other thing, though, that I want to make sure is that while those two individuals are responsible for the senior management, so to speak, they still have a board of directors, and that board of directors is still primarily composed of Liberty Movement or Campaign for Liberty or Ron Paul supporters.
Until what date?
Well, we do have on April 26th we will be having our district conventions. At that time, we'll be electing new state central committee members at those district conventions, and all 4 congressional districts have 4 representatives each. And so in our district, Polk County makes up over 60+% of the votes. And so we will, out of Polk County, we'll be able to determine largely who those people will be that will be on the State Central Committee. But we also want to make sure that we don't make it completely lopsided. We try to form a coalition with our other counties that are in our district, including Pottawatomie County and some of the other more populous counties in our area. But we definitely want to have some consensus on who those people are and moving forward, who those will be. And then from there, like I said, I think, I don't know that we'll see a change in leadership before the election, but I certainly think that moving forward in terms of the state chairman and state co-chairman, but I really think that one of the things that I'm most disappointed about is even though the chairman's left and AJ is left, we still have Steve Barefield at the state party, and he's a part of this an unfortunate situation where we've got people that will not cooperate with the county party still in charge at the state party headquarters.
Well, that sounds like it's going to change soon, though. Will Danny and Gopal, do you think, be able to survive all of the changes that will come, or will they be just very short-termers in there?
I don't really know. It just really kind of depends on what if they want to try to change leadership at the state party. For me personally, at Polk County, whatever happens at the state party, our game plan is we're going to move forward with or without the state party. We'll work with all the campaigns, all of our Republican candidates from Governor Branstad all the way down ballot, and we'll make sure that we do whatever we can here in Polk County to make sure that they're successful here in winning votes. And then, we can't worry about the other 98 counties, but we're going to do what we can to help elect Republicans here.
All right.
And then at the state party,
now the
we're
state,
to solidify with the other,
the state party. That's one of the concerns that some people have. We have a number of people running for both the soon-to-be vacated Latham seat and the vacated Harkin seat. There's concern that perhaps in both races they won't be able to get the 35% needed to avoid that, and then the party mechanism comes into play. Tell us what you think that could be, and is this a stacking of the deck by perhaps establishment types to try to ensure that their candidates comes out on top in a conference committee?
Well, I think there's there was some concern. This was at the Polk County GOP convention, Tom, earlier this year, where we released what was called Exhibit A as a part of our convention packet. And these were people that we would be electing by through the rules process. We would elect these people. And Exhibit A was a pretty lengthy list that actually got pared down to 50 before we went before the end of the weekend on the first release of that of the convention materials. And by the day that the convention rolled around, we'd actually narrowed that down to less than 30 names, which was smaller than it had been in previous cycles as well. It wasn't our intention to actually stack the deck, but what it did allow is that there was people that were going to be in precincts that had been very active in the party, that had been donors to the party, that were candidates running for office, that were going to basically not going to be able to be delegates to the district and state convention. I used one example of a precinct up in Ankeny where we had Craig Robinson, Jack Whitver's wife, and a couple of other activists in that precinct. And in that one area, that one precinct, they were still only going to be able to elect only 2 people. One of the problems is we had roughly 500 or 430 delegates to the county convention, but we only had 263 positions to the district and state convention.
Is that a good sign of enthusiasm from your perspective?
Absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of interest and participation this year. It's more than I've actually ever seen in the past. And I've been involved in the county party politics for years, where we had to we were begging people to go as delegates to the district and state convention. And part of the reason why is we get charged a delegate fee by the state party for every one of those 263 positions. So you want to make sure that the people are going to show up and pay their delegate fees. So, I mean, the state party sends us a bill. We paid that bill for $10,520. Then we have to go about collecting $10,520 from our delegates. And it's a situation where I appreciate that the state party has its costs for running the conventions at the district and state level. So there's no fuss about that. But what I do understand is this year we probably could have used 400 delegate positions, and we still would have had people waiting in line still wanting to be delegates to the district state convention because of the campaigns, because of the interest in taking back the control of the state party and the state central committee. And so we had those two factors really increasing turnout this year.
Is part of this tap dance that you're having to do right now trying to make sure that that the mainstream Republicans, if there is such an animal, regain control of the state party and yet not so upset the wing that is referred to as the libertarian or the liberty wing, so that they, because oftentimes in some states, their biggest danger to us has been their independent candidates, which in some states have cost us important races because they have drained votes that otherwise would have gone to the Republican candidate.
And that's certainly a challenge that we can face here in Iowa. I mean, we don't want to. I mean, first of all, I'm not here to exclude libertarians from being a part of the party.
Right.
I do know that there is a very small group of people that identify themselves as part of the Ron Paul Campaign for Liberty movement that were in control of the state party for the last 18 months, and in my opinion, have done things willfully and purposely to undermine the Republican candidates and the Republican Party here in Central Iowa.
And so you're happy to see them go. Back to my question: is the balancing act so that we take them out of the leadership, still give them a voice, and do not drive them to an independent status where they will drain our votes on an independent candidacy?
I want to have libertarians be a part of the party. I mean, I don't think that any one particular segment of our party can get an electoral victory without having the support of the other parts or elements of our party.
Yeah.
We are a big tent party. People think, well, that's somehow a wrong thinking or something like that. I do know that at the end of the day, if we're only going to stand with social conservatives, we're only going to be the only people in the Republican Party, we would not be able to achieve and elect majority.
Agreed. We're with people that agree with us on 75 to 80% of the issues.
That's right.
I mean, the Democrats are a disparate coalition of various, in some cases, dysfunctional elements, and yet they seem to come together at election time to, as they've done with Barack Obama, along with a lot of uninformed voters, to get a majority. If we can't agree that we have to get along with people that we don't agree with on every issue, we're not going to win any elections, are we?
Absolutely. I mean, we have to have a coalition to move forward in this in this current election landscape that we have here in Iowa. We're not a red state, we're not a blue state, we're a purple state. We have people that will. I'll use one example. I've looked at a lot of electoral numbers over the last several months. Let's just use Altoona. In 2010, Governor Branstad and Senator Grassley both won with large margins in the Altoona precincts. Yet Kim Pearson, Dave Funk, Brad Zahn, Brenna Finley, Matt Schultz, all those down ballot candidates lost in Altoona. Right. We have a lot of people in this state.
District 30, right?
It was House District 20. Now it's House District.
Let's come back to that.
Yeah.
All right, Will Rogers is our guest today. We're talking Iowa politics with Tom Coates. Appreciate you listening. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and I love my job, and I couldn't do it without you. So thanks for listening to The View from a Pew on 99.3 KTIA, powered powered by webcast1live.com.
Across America, there are countless numbers of people struggling with addiction and other life-controlling issues. Probably someone you know and love. There is a way out. There is hope. Transformations Treatment Center in Delray Beach, Florida, has a unique approach to substance abuse treatment. Call now and ask about our Guaranteed Success program or log on to transformationstreatment.com. Transformations. Change your life. Change your relationships. Transform your world.
Yes, now your favorite programs on Webcast One Live can all be watched and listened to on any Android or Apple device. Your phone, tablet, or iPad. Yes, your favorite shows on Webcast One Live are available live or on podcast wherever you go. Let me introduce to you some of our great shows.
Shalom! Every week on Understanding the World with Rabbi David Kaufman, we'll talk about issues in the Middle East, issues related to the Jewish tradition and religious traditions in general, and keep you up to date on exactly what's going on around the world. You may know some of the story, but you haven't heard all of the story until you've heard it on Understanding the World with Rabbi David Kaufman and our special guests we have on every week.
Hey, this is Doc with Doc and Lefty. I want to tell you about our brand new time slot. It's from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. It's on the same night, Tuesdays. We now follow Ed Fallon and the Fallon Forum on webcast1live.com. I want to tell you a little bit about our show. Our show is focused on local, state, and national, and sometimes international politics. We like to keep people updated and informed. We also have very interesting guests. So please join us every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on webcast1live.com.
So when you want to watch your favorite Webcast One program, remember, there's an app for that. You know, there's an app for that.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
21 minutes after the hour on the 15th day of April in the Lord's year 2014. Now, Will, can you name me 3 important events that happened on April 15th?
April 15th.
That's today.
As of today. Let's see. I can name a lot of events. I wouldn't necessarily call them important.
Okay.
One would be Adolf Hitler's birthday.
Okay.
Another one would be the Columbine shooting in Columbine, Colorado. And let's see. And, of course, it is our loveliest day of the year for people that haven't filed their taxes yet.
Right.
How about the blood moon?
The blood moon. It was also on this date that the Titanic sunk.
Yes.
And it was on this date that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. And it was on this day 55 years ago that I was born.
Oh, congratulations to you.
Today's my birthday.
I did not know
I would
that.
have guessed you were a day over 60.
Thank you very much. Everybody's amazed when I say mine, because I do. I look older. So let me tell you what happened this morning. On Tuesday morning, I have breakfast with some young men who I'm trying to move along and help along, and they're trying to move along and help me along, too. So we just kind of mentor each other spiritually and through the Bible and stuff. And so I walk into Village Inn in Johnston this morning, and who do I see over in the corner but Simon Estes and Mike Brangoscio. Now, do you know who Mike is?
No.
Mike's the author of My Jesus. Or not the author, the artist.
The artist. Oh, and you gave me one of his then. Okay.
If you go to my Facebook page or my web page, you'll see an artist rendering of Jesus, and my friend Mike Brangoscio painted that.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, I say hi to them, and we all go sit at our table, and then as soon as they're done having breakfast before we are, and they get up, and Simon comes over and sings "Happy Birthday" to me.
Does he really?
And we got it on video.
Oh, wow.
So if you go to Facebook, on my Facebook, you'll see 2 videos. One is longer, but it's cattywampus. It's sideways. You got to turn your head.
Oh, wow.
And then the other one is shorter, but it's horizontally correct.
Oh, that's outstanding,
That
Mac.
is pretty cool to have Simon Estes sing "Happy Birthday" to you.
And tell him where Simon's going to be on Thursday morning.
Well, he's going to be at. Well, are there still seats available?
There's a few. It's kind of a, you better get in there before 7 o'clock. There's a few. The date is passed for the reserve seating. We keep a small number for walk-ins, but I think that'll be, they'll probably be gone too. You may have to catch as catch can, but there's a few available.
Well, it's the Iowa Prayer Breakfast. It used to be called the Governor's Prayer Breakfast, and that was changed a few years ago. Simon Estes, you've heard his story. I'm sorry, you've heard him sing over and over. Well, you're going to hear his story that morning, and the governor will be there along with the lieutenant governor and a lot of other people. It's just a... Gosh darn it, it's just a neat place to go and be around other Iowans who are like-minded from a political and a biblical worldview, and it's always worth the time. Always worth the time and effort, and you're one of the bigwigs down there.
Well, I have a role. We all, all God's parts fit together, and the eye.
Whenever he says that means he's the big dog.
The eye is not the ear, and the hand is not the foot, Mac.
I see, okay.
But we're all going to be there. Will was good enough to buy a table this year.
Yeah.
You got a table for your church.
I got a table.
A couple, one for my church, one for my business. So yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be. What's the number up to?
We're looking at about probably close to 1,200 this year. It's going to be another big crowd. Well, it wasn't that many years ago, guys, that 400 to 500 was a number that we were entertaining, and now 3 years running, starting with Don Piper, 90 Minutes in Heaven that we had on this show.
Yep.
We bumped up against about 1,000 last year. Ravi Zacharias took us well over 1,000, and we're there again.
Good. You know who the guest is next year?
We are kind of debating. The decision has not been made, but we know some people that are at the top of our list.
How about you?
Right after you, Mac. I won't share a story about that.
Did he just put me in the I couldn't do it because if he couldn't, I could. Is that what he just?
I just put you ahead of me.
If you'd like to hear the Tom Coates story, you'd have to go back to Dickens and think of the story of the Christmas Carol and Scrooge.
Yeah. Yeah. Bradshaw used to call him Scrooge McDuck, right? Yeah. All right.
That was one of Bradshaw's better ones. He didn't get too many good
see
ones.
here. Do we have somebody who's on the line here? No, that's for you. Okay, never mind. It's not. It's Ryan's talking to his girlfriend.
Let's not forget to go back to Will. He started
for it.
Will, you were going to tell us some of your frustrations with a couple of the districts here in the state of Iowa.
Well, I'm going to talk about. You mentioned earlier there's some races that don't feature any Republican candidates in the primary.
The number I'm hearing is 32.
I can't verify that for a statewide number. I know here in Polk County we have a number of races where we did not have candidates that were interested in stepping forward and running for office.
All right.
Now, I can start off with number one. I like to look at first of all, we do want to have candidates running for these races. In some of these House districts and Senate districts here in Polk County, achieving an electoral victory is very difficult. Okay? But I want to talk about victory in terms of layers. And what I mean by that is the first layer, if you want to look at it, is that just by giving voters a choice and having somebody on the ballot to run, that's a victory unto itself. Mm-hmm. Giving people a choice. Yeah. The second is that maybe we'll get some new people, some new activists, some new people and volunteers in a particular area that's very democratic to come out of the woodwork and start really engaging in their communities and in their neighborhoods and in their precincts to really truly start moving forward with a Republican message, a conservative message, and helping, even if they can't get the candidate elected, maybe they change the margins. Instead of losing by 70 to 30%, maybe it's 60 to 40%. The third layer, as you look at it, as I call it, is one in which we actually get within a really competitive race, and the Democrats have to defend a seat that they normally would not have to defend and spend a considerable sum of money. This last fall, we had a House District special election, House District 33. This is on the southwest side of Des Moines. We had a Republican candidate, Michael Young, that ran, and in Michael's situation, it's a tough district. I mean, it's a heavily Democrat district. But Michael's race, we spent about $2,500, and the Democrats spent about $30,000.
Wow.
To win a race that they won with a sizable margin of victory, but they still had to go out and spend that money. And that's still money is still a limited resource in this country for most people. And even in here in the state of Iowa for the Democrat Party, it's still tough for them to go out and spend that type of money and then replace those dollars right away. So if we can get them to spend money on House districts that they shouldn't have to be defending, that's a victory. And then finally, achieving electoral victory. Here in Polk County, we have 2 seats, 2 House districts. House District 30, which is currently occupied by Joe Riding, who's the incumbent Democrat.
That's the old 22?
It was House District 42.
42, okay.
And Senate District 24 was as a part of that as well. And now it's House District 30 and Senate District 15, and that goes into Jasper County. But House District 30 is currently a Republican. Republicans have about a 400 voter registration advantage over the Democrats in that House district. Okay. Then, and yet it's occupied right now by a Democrat that won with less than 700, about 700 votes. Is all he won by this past election cycle over Jim Carley in 2000. This was 2012. Now we have we have a candidate running there. His name is Zach Nunn. Zach grew up in Altoona, went to Drake University, graduated, went in the United States military, has been serving in the counterintelligence, has moved back to Iowa with his wife and his young family. Just a fabulous, well-spoken. I'd strongly encourage you to get Zach on your show at some point. He is truly going to be a rising star within the Republican Party.
Zach Nunn.
Nunn.
N-U-N?
N-U-N-N.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And Zach is our candidate, and we're thankful to have somebody like Zach running in this race.
Good.
Now, let's go back west west across the county to Urbandale. And this is House District 40 now.
Okay.
This is all of the Urbandale precincts with the exception of Urbandale 4, which is in the Johnston. The way the maps worked out, it ended up being there. So. Okay. We do not have a Republican candidate running in this race, yet we have a Republican voter registration advantage.
Is this Brad's seat?
This would have been Scott Racker's seat.
Okay.
And then Scott Racker, when he chose not to run, our Republican nominee was Mike Brown in 2012. And Mike got beat by John Forbes. John Forbes is a local businessman. He owns some pharmacies, and he was also, I believe, on their city council. And was a fairly well-known person. And most people probably thought he was a Republican or very conservative in his political ideology. That isn't the case.
Okay.
And he is a Democrat. This year at the State House, he voted against banning the medical or pharmaceutical use of drugs to induce an abortion. We are very familiar with this subject, and I hope your listeners are as well, so we don't need to go into that too much. But he clearly is not as conservative as people might have been led to believe.
He's running unopposed.
And he's running unopposed.
Why?
For now. Well, I'll get to this.
Okay.
We had a candidate recently. I'm not going to mention names, but we had been recruiting candidates actively since last year. And every time we got a candidate to the point where they were yes, and in fact, earlier this year, we went out and had all the signatures for one of our people ready to go, fired up, and they went in and they met with 1 or 2 different people in Urbandale that were Republicans that actually then told him, you can't win. and then went on and undermined the efforts of myself and a Republican Party leadership and other elected officials in the area, and basically so they could protect this Democrat. Because why? They're friends with this person.
Right, John.
They don't want to upset the apple cart in Urbandale.
Now let me ask you a question. Do I need to live in District 40 to run in District 40?
Yes, you do.
Because I could always be like Mark Jacobs and just be a carpetbagger and act like I live there.
Now, with that being said, you don't have to bring Mark Jacobs into the conversation, but you could legally have an apartment building, and you could have an apartment that you could reside in. Your significant other could be wherever that they're at, and we could get you on the ballot. I would love to see somebody who's a well-known, well-respected person within the Urbandale community come forward. I know that this seat is winnable.
He said well-respected. There
There
goes my candidacy.
I know that we can win this seat. I can give you a dozen reasons why we will win this seat if we do get the right candidate. I don't want to see someone that can win the election but then is not a good legislator.
Right.
I want somebody that will go up to the State House, work hard, serve their constituency, and become a leader at the Iowa State House. I want to transform Polk County someday into the hub of political leadership, not just for the governor, but everybody at the State House.
I respect that. But even a mediocre candidate sounds like it's going to beat the left-wing Democrat you got in that seat now.
I think we could certainly win that seat with a qualified candidate. And that means, if we import somebody from out of the side of the area, it's going to be a little tougher, but I still think we could win. I think if that candidate isn't a significant fundraiser, I still think we can win. I think the work that we're prepared to do at the Polk County Republican Party to help elect this person to office will be more than enough to help this person win.
So there you have it. If you live in District 40, which is all of Urbandale, except for a little part that...
Yep.
All right.
And we'll figure that out. If any of your listeners have family, friends, coworkers, colleagues, people they know from church, anything else that they know of somebody that they know that's passionate about the state of Iowa, that's passionate about their community, they can give us a call at the county party headquarters. The phone number is 515-280-6438, and I'd be glad to visit with them about this opportunity.
We're coming back next with the Branstead Witch Hunt on KTIA.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's gotta be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave. and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
Minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then the incredible, the infallible, the entertainment pastor of the year, and boy does he know his Bible, Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church, the head Calvinist of the world, will be here at 4:03 to give you an update on what's going on there. All right, let's. My guest today is Will Rogers. He's the Polk County Republican chair. We're talking about some of the races across the state of Iowa. We'll get to the Branstead witch hunt in just a minute, but first, I mean, we simply have to talk to the voice. Frank is on the line. Frank, how are you today?
Good. Happy birthday, Brother Mac.
Hey, thanks, Brother Frank.
Hey, I actually called to talk to Tom last week, but lo and behold, he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's true. He was in Hawaii or something.
I had to hold this info over till this week.
Okay, Frank.
Did you guys had Mark Jacobs in the studio, right?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
What was his position on term limits? Did you say he kind of skated the issue?
Well, no, I think he was pretty clear. I think he said that he believed that the voters should make that decision. Now, Matt Whitaker and Clovis both believed, and I think Joni Ernst has as well said in past, that they would term limit themselves. Jacobs did not say that and has said categorically at some point that he believed the voters had the right to decide whether you were going to serve 1, 2, or multiple terms as...
Well, the reason I ask is I find it interesting. I've seen his commercial sitting at the workbench where he tosses the calculator in the toolbox, and he's first thing out of his mouth is he says the problem with Washington is career politicians.
Yes, well,
so, you know,
you've got a little inconsistency there, Frank. I think you have picked up on a theme here.
Somebody needs to hold somebody to account. The second thing is Democrats know they're going to lose. I failed to tell you this a couple of weeks ago when I talked to you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've heard, but there's some serious pressure being put on Ruth Bader Ginsburg to retire because they're seriously afraid they're not going to have the votes after November to confirm her replacement.
Well, now you raise another good point, don't you, Frank? I mean, if we're successful, and I say we, I'm talking about members of the Republican Party and real Americans out there, whether they're given any party affiliation or not, we hope to see a change in the domination of the U.S. Senate. And if we get 51 U.S. senators that give the allegiance to the GOP versus the donkeys, we could very well make it very difficult, even with a few nut cases that we've got in the U.S. Senate that do pledge allegiance to the flag. A far, far left replacement for Ruth Buzzy Ginsburg might be a difficult pull for him. I wouldn't be surprised at that, Frank. Good point.
Frank, did you have something else you want to add?
Yeah, I had one other quick point. This made-up war on women, the Republicans, and I guess I'd refer this more to Will, you're going to have to get out on front of this because it's like LBJ used to say, all you got to do is get the SO blank to deny it. And if the Republicans go into this electoral season getting the topic off of Obamacare and they keep having to deny that they're having a war against women, the real war on women is in these Muslim countries where the girls can't go to school, where there's honor beatings and honor whippings and this so-called female circumcision, which is basically, female mutilation. So we need to start taking the fight to the Democrats and making them deny their, what they're, again.
And Frank, this is a great point that you bring up because this was a subject that allowed Barack Obama to actually achieve electoral victory. One example is in House District 40 this last election cycle. He was able to go in and mine votes out of 18 to 35-year-old women that were independents and Republicans because they had continued to have whether it was the Democrats or the liberal media bleeding out this message of this, fallacious war on women, and yet because that was so successful in getting that, consistently saying that, then when they went to their doorsteps, there was a weakness there within that electorate. They weren't strong Republican, strong Romney supporters, and they were able to persuade those individuals to vote Republican or vote Democrat, vote for Barack Obama. And then they converted them into an absentee ballot and got them to lock up their vote that way, well in advance of the election. And this is, again, I agree with you. We need to continue. And part of it is we need more women running for office. We've had 2 candidates in House District 40 that we were very, very convinced that these people were going to run. And they backed out at the last second, or one of them backed out at the last second because of the situation. I think
isn't it ironic, Will? Isn't it ironic? And I think Huckabee made a joke about that the media played up on at the Iowa Faith and Freedom event, which I was asked to MC, and unfortunately I was out of town and missed that, just so I missed your show last week. But the irony is that the Obama administration is worse than prior administrations at a pay inequality between women and men within the White House. Right. Isn't that hypocrisy at its highest?
Absolutely. I mean, again, the Democrats never let the facts get in the way of a good election. I mean, they're going to do and say whatever they can to prop up their attacks on Republicans. However, at the same time, we need to be on the offense. We don't need to be on the defense. We need to be out there proactively promoting our message. And Frank, that's a great point to bring up.
Thanks, Frank, for the call. We appreciate it. Tom Coates in the house, as well as Will Rogers. Will is the Polk County Republican chair, and we're talking about some of the elections. Can we? Is there more election talk, or can we go to the witch hunt?
Let's talk about the witch hunt.
All right. So I am fortunate enough to have a friend in my life whose family, meaning him and his father, have been in Iowa politics for over 100 years, both on the state legislative level. And you're just going to have to trust me. I know this guy. I'm not going to give you his name. But I was talking with him the other day, and he was so frustrated with this witch hunt. He kept using the word, this is just severance. This is anybody leaving a job who's got proprietary information. You give them a bonus. And that's called, what is that called? That's
the severance package.
Yeah, but it's called something. But anyway, because they were given that, then
there's a confidentiality clause that they sign.
Yeah. Why is the I mean, I know why the register's doing it, because they want Jack Hatch at the governor's seat. But beyond that, is that
it? Back up just a second. I'm going to give you my speculation real quick. I don't think they think Hatch has got a prayer to get to be governor. What I think that they want to do is dirty up Branstad enough so that he doesn't have the coattails to downline get some of the Democrats in that potentially takes over the Iowa Senate. That's what I think. I think they're smart enough to know that Hatch statewide is not going to beat Branstad. But I think they're trying to dirty him up enough so that he doesn't have the coattails to be able to get more people in some of these other seats downline. Now, that's my theory.
That's not a bad theory. What is your theory, Mr. Republican Chairman?
Well, my thoughts on this are, Tom has already, reflected what I'm, myself included, and you mentioned this, Mac. Talk to the Des Moines Register's been hammering away at this for, 3 weeks now, basically?
Yeah, a little more.
Day in, day out, and they've continued to try to educate the public on this, and it keeps going over everybody's head. And I'll tell you why. Because, number one, the people that do know about non-disclosure and disclosure agreements and know about severance packages and that type of thing, they're like, yeah, this is what it is. That's a normal part of the working world.
That's right.
Then there's the people that don't necessarily understand it, and it's still over, it's okay. And when they've heard, and I'm not saying this is an excuse, but that previous administrations have used similar programs as well, They don't care. They're like, oh yeah, okay, that doesn't make sense to me. And so the Des Moines Register has tried to make this about transparency and disclosure and cronyism and all kinds. They're trying to throw everything they can at the governor, and it isn't sticking. And so right now they're dragging out the legislature. They're not. Earlier today, they were out there. A couple of senators were out there, harump, and pounding their fists about this subject matter and not voting on bills for about the first hour of the day. Now,
which may be a mixed blessing.
Well, there's a lot of business that they need to get done. They were going to get done early this year. Now it looks like they're going to go at least beyond the number of days that they were going to get paid.
Does this pretty much wind down when their per diem goes away and they have
would
to
hope so.
Bring these guys in that have drive in on their own nickels and don't get paid for other work?
Right.
Is this going away at that point?
Yeah. They tried to first make it a partisan issue that these were all Democrats that governor fired, but actually the initial 6 people they mentioned, 2 of them were Republican, 2 of them were independents, and 2 of them were Democrats.
Exactly.
We're going to take a break. Our last, we'll come back. Will Rogers, Tom Coates. We're talking about this witch hunt with Branstad, and it's not just the Des Moines Register. There's another culprit in this. We'll talk about that when we come back, live on KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart, and it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
All across America, there are countless numbers of people struggling with addiction and other life-controlling issues. Probably someone you know and love. There is a way out. There is hope. Transformations Treatment Center in Delray Beach, Florida, has a unique approach to substance abuse treatment. Call now and ask about our Guaranteed Success program or log on to transformationstreatment.com. Transformations. Change your life. Change your relationships. Transform your world.
Before 4 on this, the 15th day of April in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Tom Coates in the house along with Will Rogers, and of course Ryan is producing today. Before we get back to the Branstad witch hunt, this Braley thing, this is big, isn't it?
Tell us your thoughts on it. This is a huge deal. I know. I said Scott Brennan, who's the chair of the Iowa Democratic Party, claims in a recent interview this will have no impact on the election.
Oh my!
This is a man whistling past the graveyard. Will, tell us your thoughts on this.
Well, I think it's pretty humorous actually. To first of all, I start with that. Politicians, should always be aware of who's got a phone on, a recording camera, any kind of device like that.
Yep.
He certainly felt like he was in
friendly confines.
Friendly confines. He was there with a number of other trial attorneys. The comments he made were very, very disparaging about Senator Grassley. He's since obviously tried to apologize for that.
Farmers in general.
But in farmers in general, you've let the toothpaste out of the tube, though, and now it's out there, and it'll be part of the electoral landscape. It's certainly already come into play in terms of the numbers. There's a lot of people in Iowa that didn't know who Bruce Braley was. This was the first thing they found out about him.
Oh, no.
Right?
Oh, no.
Well, it's oh, yes.
This defines him. Because, he was known in eastern Iowa, but he was not well known in much of the rest of the state, and this will help define him. He sought to define himself in one fashion as a defender of the downtrodden and then adversely define his opponent. Right out of the chute, he defines himself.
Yep.
The reality is there, isn't it, Will? It's not something we've made up. He revealed himself.
The very first day, I had a friend of mine from Washington, D.C. This really played well in the Beltway because all of a sudden it put this race on the map now. And there might not have been as a robust victory program by the RNC here in Iowa or the Senate Republican National Committee. That all of a sudden has changed. This is now an in-play race. One of my friends from D.C., how do you see this playing out? I said it'll cost Bruce Braley 5 points and $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Either money that he won't be able to raise or money that he'll have to spend additional in making up the ground that he lost on this. And he's already running television.
Yeah, he's already running. I'm a farmer friend.
I think he will try with that 1.5. I don't think there's anything he could do to fully discount the damage that he's done to himself with this going out and continuing to go out at the with the ads that we're going to be running. He could spend $15 million, and I don't think he can undo this damage.
Right. It's going to be very difficult for him.
All right, back to the Branstad witch hunt for just a second. The Register's not the only media out there talking about this. Or am I wrong on that? Am I just seeing news coverage, or is there somebody else on the witch hunt?
Look, there's obviously other people in the media that they're asking questions or covering this story. It's because the Democrats have chose to make this a story at the State House. Now, you were mentioning earlier whether Channel 13 or Dave Price. I think it was interesting, though, a couple weeks back when he had Patty Judge on the Insiders and, of course, asked her a question. Was this something that had gone on in the Culver administration? Oh, no, never, nothing. We'd never do anything like that. And then he says, well, actually, we have, evidence that would suggest that. Well, that would be news to me, Dave. And, of course, and this actually goes to play to what Governor Branstad had been saying. I knew nothing about this. And the same thing played true for the Culver administration. It probably plays true for the Branstad administration.
Well, Vilsack, too, claims that he knew of nothing, and yet there's evidence to suggest that it was being done in his administration as well.
And here's my point with that. I think the questions that other media resources beyond the Des Moines Register, they're asking, I think they're fair. I think that they're challenging both sides to an extent. What the Des Moines Register is doing is it's just propping up the Democrats on this. It's continuing to grind away at this. And the types of words, when they first started talking about it, they were calling it like Chris Christie-like, or, it's like the New Jersey-style politics. They were trying to purposefully smear the governor, and it's not worked. And quite honestly, they're getting close, whether it's the Des Moines Register or Democrats, are getting dangerously close to overplaying their hand on this.
I would think so. Because anybody who's ever been in business and has ever had an employment contract or an understanding of employment knows that this type of thing goes on and has been going on for years and years and years. Especially union people know that.
Well, and some of the unions, the state union, does not want to codify, as I understand it. Will you correct me if I'm wrong? When the move was made to put into Iowa law that eliminated these confidentiality clauses, the unions were the ones that stepped up and said no, and that's why it didn't go anywhere in the Iowa Democrat Senate. Am I right?
That's right. The governor said, sure, we'll absolutely do away with this practice. We'll make all of these settlements public. We'll make all of these terminations public information. And then all of a sudden, the union stepped forward and said, no, you can't do that, because they're there to protect their membership and serve their membership. I actually don't have a problem with what they're with the unions on this. It's an employment matter. It's typically always been something that's discussed behind closed doors. They don't openly discuss employment at the state, employment, types of things at the State House, for rank and file employees. It's not something that comes up as a matter of public record. And I can, I appreciate that.
I do too. And I thought I didn't think it would go this far, because to me, it's not an issue. And in fact, you're actually, in some cases, benefiting the state employee that is being terminated or let go.
Absolutely.
And so the union should be in favor of this. I don't think that they drove this. I think they have to have had at some point put the brakes on the Democrats in there saying, hey, we don't really want you to do anything more than just get some headlines on this. We don't really want you to act on it. And so Paulson, I think, is saying, well, you want to do something, do something. Oh, no, we just want the show trial.
Yeah. Yep. We just want the free publicity, and we want to be able to say what we want, not the truth. Well, Will, I sure appreciate you coming in today.
Glad to be here.
You're all fired up, I can tell. This is going to be a good year here in Polk County.
Thank you. We are we're looking forward to helping a lot of good people get elected to office.
And I'll try to think of somebody in Urbandale. But, my issue is, first of all, I'm not electable. And I don't think I'd want to run either. I don't play well with others, and especially with politics. But the other thing is, you need a decent person like yourself. And most decent people don't want to get into the fray that's going on at the State House in Washington, at the City Council, anywhere.
Well, when I say this with all, truthfulness. And I mean, I'm not trying to blow smoke. Most of the people I know at the State House, Republicans and Democrats, are good people. They're talented people. They're smart people. They work hard. And I'm glad that, we have them there. The problem is we get them in at the State House as a collective, and that's where the process starts to break down. Maybe for a good reason, maybe for some bad reasons. And my point is, it's very difficult. I don't see myself being one of those people that walks through the door up the State House and going, boy, I really want to be a state representative. I want to be a state senator. But we do need good people to do the job. And
I've been asked,
and I appreciate that.
I
very
declined,
much.
and I have a lot of respect for good people and men and women that do it. But I won't myself either do it.
All right. Thank you, Will Rogers. Thank you, Tom Coates. Ryan, as always, thanks for doing such a good job producing. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and until I see you again, do me one favor, would you? It's Holy Week. This is a big deal. This is the time when Jesus came back and proved that if you tear down this temple, I will rebuild it in 3 days, because he is I am. So tonight, just pray.